Hey guys, my name is Sean Marsh and I'm here to talk to you guys tonight about student loan debt. Since the 1990s, student loan debt has increased at an alarming rate. According to the Lexington law, student loans in 2018 amounted to about $1.5 trillion. Now that's about $76,000 per student enrolled in 2018. More than 42 million Americans have student loan debt. And while most of people owe around $30,000, at least 6.5% owe more than $100,000. Some people are only finishing paying off their student loans by the age of 55, which gives them very little time to save for retirement. According to debt.org, the cost of tuition in the United States has increased 340%, outpacing utilities by almost 200% during the same time period. So, what does it cost to go to school? If you chose to go to CU Boulder, about $14,000 will get you 1 year of tuition. So if you look at that over the course of 4 years, you're looking at about $56,000. Debt.org also illustrates that if you borrowed about $37,000 and you chose to pay that off over the course of 10 years, it'll cost you about $382 a month. And you'll pay over about $8,000 in interest. So for 10 years, every month, you'll have to pay $382. Now once you've incurred your debt, you must pay it back. And you may have chosen a course of study that you found interesting, but after graduation you find that the job market may not support your degree type. According to a study by Georgetown University, they find that the fine arts and liberal arts graduates have a unemployment rate that hovers around 10%. And people with those degrees also have a little bit less earning potential. So the higher unemployment rate combined with the lower wages makes paying loans off very difficult. So what can we do? How can we stop this financial disaster? The simple answer is not to borrow any money at all. One way that we can help ourselves out, though, is to look for scholarships and grants. And you may also choose to work while you go to school. And if you're going to work while you go to school, why not search for an employer that has a tuition reimbursement program? Also research your chosen degree type and make sure it's marketable and that you can earn a decent wage upon graduation. Your education is a investment, and all sound investments must return more than what was invested. So, what we should not do. One thing that we must not do is fall into the trap that the government should be responsible to pay back our debts. In the end, the government loan forgiveness and free college will benefit very few people. The ones that don't finish and the ones that refuse to work after receiving their degrees. The rest of us responsible people who choose to work and be productive members of society will end up having to pay for our own education through higher taxes. So you're better off cash flowing your education, then you'll get to keep more of your money after you graduate. You pay lower taxes and you won't have the student loan debt or the payments each month to pay that back. If you are in high school, one thing that I would suggest is that you take advantage of an early college program. If you do this, you can save yourself about 2 years of tuition. If you've already graduated from high school, go to community college for 2 years. Work hard to earn scholarships, grants. There's literally billions of dollars in grants and scholarships. And that's free money, you don't have to pay it back. And work as you pay, or work as you go through college and pay as you go. And if you think you can't do it, Keep in mind that last semester I worked over 60 hours a week, and I also carried 10 credits. It was very difficult, and I had no free time, but I got it done. It's not going to be easy. I mean, it may take a little bit longer, but making a sacrifice now will pay big dividends in the future. I mean, if you think back to the person that has the $37,000 in loan debt, and they have to pay $382 a month for 10 years. If you graduated from school and you didn't have that debt, and you took that same $382 and you invested it in mutual funds that made a modest 8%, at the end of 10 years, you'd have over $70,000. And if you carried that $382 a month until retirement, about 40 years, you'd have over $1.2 million. So your money works way harder for you when it's earning interest than when it's paying interest. And if you must borrow, borrow only what you need. Just because you qualify for a certain amount doesn't mean you need to borrow to that limit. And if you do borrow, pay it back as soon as you can. Don't drag it out for a long period of time because it'll cost you more. You'll pay more interest, and it just costs more. So if you follow those 4 steps, I can guarantee that you can walk away from your learning institution without any debt or very little debt. But I think the real way to end this financial crisis, though, is to end our high tolerance for borrowing. And also, once you're liberated from not having to borrow money, you can save for your children's future, and they can go to school debt-free. I challenge you to carry that financial behavior to the remainder of your life. And while your peers are chained to their debt, you'll be free to live a life of wealth and prosperity. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. So is the $14,000 including cost of living foreseeable then?
So the $14,000 is just tuition. The cost of living is about $14,000. So basically it doubles what it would cost.
Do you think that the average cost would be down if people stayed in state or debt rate?
Yes, if you stayed in state, you would pay in-state tuition. Typically, out-of-state tuition is quite a bit higher than the in-state tuition. And if you chose to live at home while you got your degree at in-state school, you'd pay even less because you wouldn't have to pay for the cost of living.
Are all colleges basically the same price, or depends on the area?
For most of the state schools in Colorado, they're pretty comparable. I mean, there are some that are a little bit less expensive than others, but you also have private colleges, and they do cost quite a bit more. However, they do offer a little bit more scholarships than the state schools. So typically, if you're a good student and you have a pretty good SAT or ACT score, you can go there for around the same amount as it would for a state school. Any other questions? All right, thank you.